You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Sitting looking back on all the times we shared, when I acted like I just didn't really care, and it wasn't fair. You stood by me, girl, when I was so untrue. But this is my promise, girl, I give to only you. Let me be the one, you the one you come running to. When you need me, I'll be there, just to let you know that I do care. Baby, I promise, girl, I promise, I'll always be true. And baby, I promise, girl, I promise you that I'll be right here for you, no matter the problem, babe. I'll stand by your side, be right by your side. Yeah, can never be denied.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 419. This episode, we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens Monday night victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. You're going to see a few episodes recorded this week. We got a lot to talk about. Maryland football has one more game as our season is pretty much over at this point. We won't see a fourth straight bowl appearance from us after losing this past weekend. Brendan Potts and I did a mock draft for the WNBA 2025 draft. That episode will be uploaded sometime this week. Maryland men's basketball, they're off until the 30th. So we're recapping a couple games from Syracuse, Towson, and their recent win this past weekend as they took on the St. Francis Red Flash. Maryland men's basketball, we've missed quite a few games. Going to kind of be a deep recap. So be tuned in for that. Videos all will be uploaded within the week. So you have plenty of content as we get ready for Thanksgiving. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe for all future content. Thank you for the support you've given me and this channel. I will leave the links to TeamNBSMedia and MarylandSportsBlog.com, where you can check out other content for TeamNBSMedia. You can also follow me on MarylandSportsBlog.com and Twitter as my coverage for the Maryland basketball team and the Washington Mystics is where you can find my work. Let's get into it. So after painfully losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, primetime, and this felt like a big win, a much needed win for us. And the Baltimore Ravens did just that, took care of business against an AFC opponent. And the Harbaugh Bowl 3, John Harbaugh is now 3-0 against Jimmy as the Baltimore Ravens defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 30-24.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
You know, at first when I looked at the game, there was a bit of a panic button because Los Angeles came out aggressive and to start the game 10-0, and because once again the slow starts. Same thing you kind of saw in Pittsburgh, and you respond with 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. Pretty much controlled the game. I thought what was really key was our offense. I think the offense, for the most part, did its job. When you looked at everything, I think the biggest thing is Baltimore's identity has been one of the best run games. You got to run the ball, come out aggressive. And when you look at it, you're going to be against one of the top scoring defenses. Baltimore finished with 212 rushing yards against the Chargers. Coming into this game, the Chargers had given up half of that. I think it was about 110 yards per rushing yards per game. I think they were somewhere around 11th or 12th. Derrick Henry had 140. The last three quarters was 194 yards. Justice Hill had the 51-yard touchdown. I mean, we had the ball. If those three quarters, we had the ball from us. What I think it's like 26 minutes and 45 seconds. I remember seeing that correctly. After the first quarter, we controlled the line of scrimmage. I thought, that was the key. Beating the Los Angeles Chargers, controlling the clock, controlling the pace, beating them on the line of scrimmage. We did all those things. And when you look at it, I just felt like, to me, when you go up against a defense that has a Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Darren James, others. I know they missed some guys, but it was interesting to see like how this was one of the best defenses, and you gave up 200 yards rushing. That really just tells me I think they got shell shocked, and also too, when you looked at when it was all said and done, I think it was 369 total yards compared to 162 in the last three quarters. I can't defend that. Los Angeles, they failed to score 7 straight possessions on those especially in the red zone, and they had to kick 3 field goals.
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to say to that?
When you looked at and I'm going to take it really, it starts really, to me, I thought the first half was key. And what I took away from it. When I looked back at the tape, you were down 3 with 2-minute warning. That 4th and 1 attempt, I was a little concerned with that, but we went for it, and then went to score with Rashard Bateman, that touchdown, take the lead. Didn't look back after that, and that was a good catch by Rashard Bateman. I'm really proud of that. When you looked at it, especially when we're not afraid to go for it on 4th down, that really, to me, was the key. I've always felt as our identity has been running the football. My concern is we can't do that to good teams and bad teams. We got to maintain the consistency. When I watched against Pittsburgh, yes, the biggest thing is when you go up against a physical defense like a Pittsburgh, like a Cleveland, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take their aggressiveness away. Punch them in the mouth. And I just feel like, to me, we have to get back to that. Outside of that, we've ran for over 200 yards. This is our 4th time this season, and we've won the game. I believe behind us is the Philadelphia Eagles, who we get to see this Sunday. That should be interesting. But, we ran the ball 37 times for 212 yards. And think about it. It just wasn't just Derrick Henry, Justice Hill. Lamar got a couple yards in there. So, I mean, they're doing all the right things. I was really concerned with how we looked without Mr. Roquan Smith. I thought he was going to play, but we told him, sit this one out. We got this, and we did all that. When you don't have your leader on the field, that's the next man up. And let's just be real. Some of y'all, when I say y'all, some within the Ravens flock, Malik Harrison an apology, Chris Borden an apology. Those boys held their own. I'm really proud of them. Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, all of them stepped up. I'm really proud of that. The biggest thing was also too, like, for me, this is the Ravens that I expected to see. Our secondary is starting to get better. Our defense is starting to find its rhythm. Our struggles against the passing defense. We're trying to figure out what works in the secondary, and our Darius Washington, now that he's now starting over Marcus Williams, and Eddie Jackson, he was now no longer on the Ravens. We used several guys out there, Tre'Davious White, and Brandon Stevens, and especially Jalen Armour Davis. He got a couple plays in there, but we got to work on the penalties, because the penalties have been something. Because especially gave up that one penalty, gave the touchdown to Gus Edwards. Oh my goodness! But Nate Wiggins, he had 6 tackles, broke up 2 passes. Marlon Humphrey, he was dealing with McCluskey. He 6 catches, 83 yards. Quentin Johnston, he killed me. He hurt me in fantasy this week, and they allowed. He had a catch that day that could have been for 50 yards, and he dropped it. He really wasn't. He didn't have a great game. I think coming into this game, if I remember correctly, we have allowed 50 pass plays of 20 or more yards. That's the second highest in the league. I can't remember who's the first off the top of my head, but didn't see that. The longest play for Los Angeles was 19 yards. I think Zach Orr is starting to call a good game. Justin Herbert, he finished with 21 of 36, 218 yards. But he couldn't get the big plays going. And I think the secondary played a part in that. I thought the defensive line created pressure for Mick Trellis's offensive line. And in fairness, he did use his legs. Justin Herbert did score the first touchdown in the game. He found the end zone with 9 minutes and some change. But I think because again early in the season, I know he was dealing with an injury, but as he's been getting healthier and as he's progressed, you're starting to see him utilize his legs more. So he finished what the game was at 29 yards on 4 rushing attempts, but he looked a lot more. He's looked more mobile than I saw. But his offensive line didn't do a good job for him. I thought he tried to do too much, especially when his offensive line has 6 holding penalties, if I remember correctly. And again, too, that offensive line is pretty stout. They got some Pro Bowlers, high paid free agents, and especially if you're going to compete, that's a lot of money you've invested in the offensive line. You can't play like that. Outside of that, first quarter, Chargers kind of had Baltimore right where they won them, and after that, it just don't know. And then J.K. Dobbins, I thought that kind of hurt them too. He went down in the first half and he was out. I know, listen, as much as I'm a fan of J.K. Dobbins and, I wish he was still here, but, this is a business. He's been dealing with injuries and he's only played since then a total of 9 games between 21 and last year.
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And I get it. He's over an ACL injury and an Achilles injury. Listen, the best ability is availability. Same thing with Gus Edwards. Those guys, those injuries are not tough and not easy to come back from. He did have the ball 9 times for 59 yards total. He did his things there, but I think he's going to be out for probably about a week or so. They didn't really give the severity on his injury. But outside of that, I thought once he went down, the running game kind of went sour. And but just staying on the defense from a positive standpoint, again, I go back to Malik Harrison, and again, it depends on how Roquan's looking. I saw this YouTube video. I can't remember who it was, but shout out to him. Kind of described the type of severity of the hamstring injury that he had. But Malik Harrison, he had the team high, 12 tackles, 1 for loss. Christian Welsh, Chris Ward, they were on the board as well. Christian Welsh, he's been a special teams player because he's now at this point. I think he's exhausted all his. I think at this point he's exhausted all his practice squad elevations. So this is what the second start since he's been here last 5 years. So listen, Chris was promoted on passing downs. He finished with 4 tackles, if I remember correctly. This is a good group. So what you saw, that should leave that coaching, however, on the rest of the staff, including Zach Orr, they should, encouraged. I like what I saw. But more importantly, man, they did all the right things. If you look, a lot of it to me, it starts with coaching. Coaching matters. We have this argument. I know we've had this argument saying it doesn't. It does. To me, it matters, especially when you look at from the offense standpoint. Derrick Henry's. You look at, well, why is he touched the ball last week 13 times against Pittsburgh? But that's something that you're gonna have to figure out if you're Todd Monken. How do you keep the balance? And the same thing too, like Deontay Johnson hasn't been out there. He's been more used as an insurance policy in case something happens to Zay Flowers. But I still think, to me, a lot of it is the bread and butter is you come out aggressive with the run. So it was a good win for us, and I'm very proud of that. Listen, Lamar is going to do things. Is continuing to let people know he's still in the MVP conversation. Listen, everyone has a bad game. It happens. I'm not fazed by the loss in Pittsburgh, and you saw he went out there, delivered, did all the things you expect your reigning MVP to do. But this was expected. I mean, it was close. I mean, like I said, if you take away the penalties for Los Angeles, J.K. Dobbins doesn't go out, and then also too, they did Los Angeles defensively didn't make the adjustments on stopping them on fourth down. So, I mean, after that, they didn't hold the lead the rest of the night. So, because the next one came up, it was Derrick Henry's late third quarter. He rushed for 27 yards. If I remember that correctly. So it's just like 3 for 3 on fourth downs. They were 8 of 15. I think if you do the math, that's like 53%. But yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. But each week is a game by game case, and like I said, going against a defense that has Darwin James and those guys, and there's something. Khalil Mack. That's a defense that you have to respect. They did limit Lamar Jackson, 15 yards, 8 carries. He did have the 10-yard touchdown, but Derrick Henry now is 1,300 yards on the season so far. So, and also too, they were missing some guys defensively. I know one of them was Denzel Perryman. I can't remember the other corner that was out. So they're missing some guys there too. So, but again, it's next man up. So, those are really that was my only really takeaways. If you look at it, I mean, overall, 285 yards offensively are the Chargers, 60 plays. I mean, in the first half, you ran the ball 15 times for 76 yards. I mean, their offense did okay, but like I said, once J.K. kind of went out, that kind of took the sails of their offense, and we'll see what it looks like. But I'm proud of us. It was a great game. Harbaugh Bowl 3. I still not really. I think it was Troy Aikman who called us the greatest show on grass. I'm not there yet. I'm not going that far because this greatest show on grass has lost to teams it should not have lost to, and it at times can play down and up to certain competition. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna. Let's pump the brakes on that respectfully. I think we are a good team, but we need to prove that we need to finish games and be consistent. Once we do those things, then we can start labeling teams, things. There's a reason why the Rams were labeled the greatest show on turf. They were consistent. I don't know too many teams that will lose to a divisional rival and lose by 6 field goals and be lackadaisical offensively, or you would lose to a team that on the road that doesn't have their starting quarterback. You lost to a backup, like little things like that. You blew a 13-point lead at home. I don't think the greatest show on turf would lose games like that. That's just my opinion. But overall, hey, look, they did all the right things. I think the Chargers will be fine. I still think that they have. I think they have all the pieces to compete. Biggest thing is just staying healthy. I don't think they need anything more. They got the playmakers. They just had a bad game. I still think. I think Josh Palmer is good, but I don't think he's. I think when you're trying to find your replacements in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, that I don't think there's really the options are not there yet. Quentin Johnson, by default, should be your number one wide receiver, but he's kind of going back to old habits, and I can understand that. I mean, outside of that, Ladd McClunkey was the really only best receiver out there, and I don't think I think they're really going to have to show. I think those last two drives really showed. I think there's a lot of growth that's going to be needed with them. So, but yeah, I'm happy. But this has not been the season I would have expected us so far, but I'm proud of us. So if I had to get a game ball, definitely got to give one to Rashard Bateman. Obviously, he's been silencing the doubters wrong, especially when you had a lot of people within the Raven flock community demanding he be traded. Justice Hill, obviously. Our defense as a whole deserves a game ball. You just take away the mistakes. Other than that, we were fine. So, but again, we held Justin Herbert 218 yards passing, no touchdowns passing. So, that's a plus. So, I would give our whole defense a game ball. And yeah, last year it looks against Philadelphia, but I definitely think that this was a much needed win, especially coming off loss to Pittsburgh, as I stated. And now you have to go up against the 9-2 Philadelphia Eagles. I see the Saquon cheese in the Eagles. I'm not looking forward to that. And I thought it really helped after watching Pittsburgh lose in snow to Cleveland, and they got to face Cincy. That should be an interesting game. Because next time we don't see Pittsburgh until December the 21st. So I'm hoping we get an early Christmas present as a victory for against them. I really, really feel like I still think the AFC North is still up for grabs, but I feel like beating them, Los Angeles, that kind of does help us in the playoff berth. Because now we have the win to win head over another team. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works for wild card seeding. So December and January are going to be keys for us. So congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens. And defense is still on the clock. But we're going to get into one final thought. There's something I want to discuss. And but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
A machine to wash hard floors properly. Using clean water to clean your hard floor.
Massive Black Friday deals are here, but they won't last long. Get this Apple.
All right, so I apologize for that, but I'm not gonna play the whole video. So I want to give a shout out to my friend Derek for sending me that video. So, because a couple things. I don't know where that question came from. I understand. Okay. The Ravens have been in this window, and in my opinion, actually, as of last year, the window has closed. And I stand by that. I understand the man's got to come be better come postseason. I get all that. I haven't seen a question like that for Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert. Hell, I even hadn't seen that question for Tua. When you pose questions like that, that is to me, Stephen A. Smith is the executive producer for his show. That's a choice. Now, to me, I feel like the national media have now found or have ran out of things to criticize the man on, because at this point, there's nothing really much you can criticize him on other than winning a championship. My issue is this is coming off a win. It's one thing if the Ravens lost. That's fine and dandy. But this is not the first time. See, also, too, the one thing that is something that Shannon has said before they started the conversation. Could you imagine if you and I said the same thing, X, Y, Z? Well, it's how you deliver your message. For example, last year, we had lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers on their turf, 10-9. Wasn't Lamar's fault. I'm not gonna put all the weight on his shoulders. Playmakers didn't show up. Your defense did its job, made some mistakes. But the question they posed on that Monday, are the Baltimore Ravens getting their money's worth from Lamar? And they went off on him. But what's interesting, right? And everybody likes to throw that, well, Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. Last time I checked, Joe Burrow's lost. Getting to the Super Bowl is we're treating that now as a lifetime achievement award. At the end of the day, this is a wins or loss business. Either you won it or you lost it. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. He will not get the same energy. Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes come postseason either. I haven't seen that type of question, but you know what's going to end up happening? You know what will happen? Josh Allen will get a hall pass. They'll blame Sean McDermott. They'll blame his playmakers. They'll blame the defense. Jared Goff, you've heard me on this. He got scapegoated when they got to this when he was in Los Angeles to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots. I don't think it was all his fault, but he got scapegoated and traded to Detroit, and they won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game yet. But my point is the media creates these narratives and agendas and tries to push it on one that doesn't hold the energy for others. Ever since the man came in from college, well, he's more of a running back. He should convert to wide receiver. And it's just, we watch the man year in and year out. He's getting better. And there's always going to be that group or that individual who will find ways. I don't care whether it's Emmanuel Acho, Nick Wright, Stephen A. Smith. It doesn't matter. They will always find ways to shit on the man. And so they're saying, you know what? That's a damn good player. Guys are allowed to have bad games. Guys are allowed to have mistakes. I understand we're in this culture now of, well, did you win a championship? Did you win this? Did you win that? Most of that comes off from social media, and most of it comes off of when you're as a casual. Like when you look at it, and this goes back to the point I was watching this. I can't remember where it was about when you criticize a player, and then you question, well, how come they don't X, Y, and Z? Well, look how you critique them. Look how you criticize them. Why do you give one player, are you getting your money's worth, but you didn't say that for this player? I mean, Baker Mayfield, when he was in Cleveland, he was playing great before he got hurt. Baker Mayfield didn't get a question like that. Daniel Jones, he get a question like that, and he's now with the Vikings. I mean, at some point, Like, we need to start appreciating the greatness that we're seeing. I get it. Postseason, got to play better. Put that to the side for a second. I'm simply talking about how you don't hold the same energy for the others. If Josh Allen, for example, okay, if they don't get it done in the postseason, are they going to get a question like that? No. Are the Detroit Lions going to get it? Is Jared Goff going to get a question like that? No. Joe Burrow? No. Brock Purdy? Now, they've been on Brock Purdy, but he won't. I mean, these guys will get hall passes. And it's a fact. And it's proven. Right there is all you need to know of how the national media has been towards Lamar. And it will not change. Even if he wins a championship, there's going to be somebody that said, can you do it again? You can't make this stuff up. I know some people want to sit there and say, well, why are you giving it attention? Why is it bothering? Because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility, no matter the platform, to change the narrative and say, well, you're looking at it from this perspective, but understand there's other things around the guy that do matter. Okay, when you've drafted talent that hasn't panned out, guys are complaining, well, I don't like this system, even though you got your stats in the system. And now look at you. You've been trading. Now you're on your third NFL team, and you haven't even gotten better from when you were here. When you're seeing running backs that can't stay healthy, when you have an offensive line at times that's suspect, your defense is not playing well. Everything can't just fall on the quarterback. Has Lamar had his moments? Absolutely. Does he need to play better? Absolutely. But to sit there and pose that type of a question, or act like the season was over as of Monday, like they got eliminated from the playoffs. That's my one final thought. It's sad because it's just we can never really appreciate greatness, and it's just why, like where did that come from? And it's like his career is on the line every game, and no other quarterback warrants this type of criticism. And it doesn't matter. Well, there's no other quarterback that's won multiple MVPs. That's not the point. I mean, please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. Be tuned in for future episodes. Thank you for the support you're giving me in this channel. Please stay safe. Stay up.
I know that loving me wasn't always easy. And you felt like walking away when you couldn't see me. Felt like all your hope was gone. But I'm right here on bended knee. Please be my wife and stay with me. Please take my hand through stormy weather. We will stay, yeah. Let me be the one you. When you need me, I'll be there. Just to let you know that I really, 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 really do care, yeah. Baby, I promise. Baby, I promise. I'll be right here for you. No matter the problem. No matter the problem, baby. I'll be by your side. 'Cause the love we share can never be denied. Denied.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you.
It's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
Bullshit.
have normalized this bullshit.